In this episode, I'm going to review Saw 10.
Did you see Saw?
Torture contraptions traumatize treacherous trickster doctors, tantalizing patients with tremendous transgressions, but their betrayal warrants retribution.
This is not retribution. It's a reawakening.
Let the games begin. Thank you for clicking on my video. You didn't have to do that, but I appreciate that you did. Hello world, I'm Franklin, aka Mr. FLIXTER, and I'm here to talk motion pictures. Mr. I'm really excited. It's my favorite time of the year. It's spooky season. You know what that means? That's right. It's October, witches! And if it's Halloween, it must be Saw.
Of course I see Saw. Miles and I see Saw all the time.
Will this film dismember all fan expectations?
No, the movie. Did you see the movie Saw?
Happy Halloween, y'all. So, how lucky are we to have a new Scream film and a new Saw film in the same year? Wow. I anticipated these two films the most in 2023. I was assigned to review this film for Horror Buzz, so I'll leave the link below for that. I was just so excited for this movie, and I had to make a video about it. Whatever, darling. Let's get jiggy with it, shall we? So, this is a more personal story about Jigsaw that takes place when a group of doctors scam him in Mexico, and a prequel that takes place in between Saw 1 and 2.
You're in very good hands with us.
It's Noah, film critic extraordinaire. Meow, 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 meow. Make your choice, folks, but don't worry, this review is completely spoiler-free.
Go see it. Right now. I don't want to say too much. And if you don't want to see anything about Saw 10, then why are you watching this review?
I've had my eyes on you, and I do not like what I see.
Saw 10 was directed by Kevin Gruter. Or Gruter. Sorry if I butchered that. And he returns after directing parts 6 and 7. Fun fact. He was the editor for Saw 1 to 5, The Strangers, The Collection, Jigsaw, Uma, Cobweb, and Saw 10. Can you believe he edited all those movies? The more that I do YouTube videos and the more that I edit videos, I've come to appreciate stuff like that. If you think about it, he basically made those movies. Sure, other people might have directed some of those, but he's the one who put the films together the way that they are. He found all the pieces of the puzzle. This film is full of quick camera movements, the classic Saw editing style,
It's very real.
and it has that grimy feel that fans have come to expect over the years. That's one of the biggest problems with Saw 7, 8, and 9. They don't look and feel like the first 6 movies did. The way they look is noticeably different, but that all changes here. Even though the film is 2 hours long, it doesn't feel that way because the film takes its time to develop the plot and the characters without cutting corners or over-explaining information. One of the things I actually liked about this movie is the traps don't even take place until about halfway through the film. Granted, the film has its plot holes, like how did Jigsaw have the time to do this so quickly, and like how did he get some of his tools there, and how did Billy the Puppet get there? Although I guess Amanda might have brought him over. It's just one of the things that I thought about during the film. Or maybe someone else that I don't want to talk about in this. When it comes to the plot of this film, one of the things I wondered about the most was Jigsaw already attempted something like this in part 6, but he was denied.
This is a doctor in Norway. He's got a 30 to 40% success rate with gene therapy. I'm familiar with the therapy you're talking about.
So did he not do that treatment at all? And why would he go for another treatment like that after the first one didn't work out at all?
At your age, and with the development of your cancer, it's simply not feasible for Umbrella. Wait. What's not feasible?
Just one of those things I wondered about, you know? And the gore effects completely exceeded my expectations. Honestly, this is the Saw sequel I've been waiting for. But don't worry, once the horror elements start, it doesn't look back. This is one of the most brutal Saw films so far, with new innovative trap designs too. Each one has poetic justice, like how the franchise started off.
I'd like to play a game. Perhaps one that addresses those sticky fingers of yours.
And, best of all, the games in this are fair, because people actually do have a chance to survive. Like Jigsaw said from the beginning, he wants you to survive the test. And it's interesting how Jigsaw sees them as tests, not games. Like he's testing to see if they have that missing piece of the human puzzle, the will to survive. The script was written by Peter Goldfinger and Josh Stolberg, who returned after writing parts 8 and 9. Granted, Jigsaw wasn't the best sequel. I'd actually rank it toward the bottom of my list. But Spiral wasn't bad. I enjoy Spiral. So, the reason this film works so well is because they only focus on a simple premise. It doesn't get over-convoluted like some of the other movies tend to get. This film only focuses on the events of this film. So, if you haven't seen any Saw movies before this, that's alright, you can still understand what's going on. It won't hurt if this is your first Saw movie, although I would recommend seeing at least the first 2 before seeing this one. But don't worry, it still offers plenty of tasty Easter eggs for all you Saw fans out there like me.
But trust me, you will want to remain alert.
It's also more humorous than the other Saw films, because there's dark comedy sprinkled all throughout.
I don't know what the fuck all of these things are. And there's a fucking bone cutter? The cranium. I don't care what the fucking thing is called, Cecilia!
Most of the people at my screening were laughing out loud. It was a pretty good turnout, too. There were so many people there. Everything I love about Saw is in this film. Do you want to see pig masks? Check. How about Billy the Puppet? Check. Do you love that deep, raspy Jigsaw voice on the cassette tapes? Check. Did you want more of Tobin Bell? Check. Do you want to see new gruesome traps? Check. Do you love to hear that iconic score? Check. And how about that unexpected plot development? That's really exciting for a Saw fan. I don't know why I took 8 Saw films, because Saw 2 was the last time Jigsaw was the center focus. But Tobin Bell returns as John Kramer, aka Jigsaw, and he gives his best performance since Part 2. Very similar to the second film, this puts Jigsaw front and center. Some of the best scenes aren't even the traps. Instead, it's the conversations between him and Amanda, and him and his victims, explaining why they've been chosen for their games. I love that. That's good writing right there. To hold people's interest with the conversations that people are having is crucial, because you're going to feel interesting stuff in between the traps. Otherwise, no one's going to like the movie. That was kind of the problem with Jigsaw. I didn't really care about those characters. Those characters didn't really end up mattering in the end. Like, oh. But this isn't about Jigsaw. This is about Saw 10, the sequel I've been waiting for. Tobin Bell does such a good job acting in this. His performance is phenomenal. You feel his desperation. You feel his anguish from cancer. You see his hope when he hears the chance for cancer remission. And when he's ultimately betrayed, you don't just see how hurt he is. When his dreams get crushed, you feel it.
I want to play a game.
My job is to bring humanity to John Kramer.
This guy's a psychotic killer, let's face it. Even though he debates that. But I like how they touch on that in this too. Just like the other Saw films, his approach and his ideology is flawed. Just a little bit. Just a wee tiny bit. Regardless, I love Tobin Bell this, and I'm glad when they finally gave him a movie where he could really shine. Shawnee Smith also returns as Amanda Young. The dynamic between her and Jigsaw gets explored even deeper as she struggles with being his apprentice. It also adds context to the character as to why she snaps in Part 3. She gives such a poignant performance, adding new dimensions to the well-established character without altering what's already known about her.
Sometimes we get sucked into things that are against our nature. Drugs are as vicious as they are powerful.
If you can't handle this, how will you handle the rest of our work?
And personally, I love attention to detail when it comes to continuity like that. One of my biggest pet peeves for horror prequels is messing with the continuity. They even say that in Scream 4.
Don't fuck with the original.
Fun fact, Scream 4 also references Saw directly, bringing up both sides of the argument, whether or not it's a good quality horror franchise.
Did you pick a movie? Yeah. We're gonna go scary. Saw 4. Ugh, I saw that in theaters. It sucks. It's not scary. It's gross. I hate all that torture porn shit. How do you really feel?
They also talk about Jigsaw.
Well, I like Jigsaw. I think he kills people very creatively. But you don't give a shit who dies because there's no character development. There's just body parts ripping and blood spewing. Wow.
The first time I saw this movie, I thought it was so cool how they did that. I wondered if the new Scream at the time was going to reference Saw at all.
So, aside from the terrible wig, Amanda is one of the highlights of the film, and I'm really glad they brought her back too. I'm so glad she decided to come back to this iconic horror franchise.
It's super fun to be able to come all the way back to the beginning.
This film really wouldn't be the same without her. Because if they chose to go with Hoffman and have him in the whole thing the whole time instead of Amanda, it would be a completely different movie.
Everyone deserves a chance. You should know that more than anyone.
Good choice, good choice. Jorge Briceño plays Carlos. Sorry for butchered that. He's a young boy who befriends John Kramer after he helps him fix his bicycle. It's so fascinating to see Jigsaw uses his engineering abilities outside of his twisted games. This adds another dimension to Jigsaw rarely seen, his soft spot for innocent children. This kid is so lovable and just so adorable. I wouldn't want anything bad to happen to him. What? I didn't say anything.
Honestly, darling, haven't you heard of Murphy's Saw? Anything that can go wrong will go wrong in a Saw film.
The relationship between Jigsaw and his victims is also explored at a slower pace than the usual Saw films. These people all unquestionably deserve to be where they are.
I think we can all agree, for an engineer, John Kramer certainly has a few squoos-woos. Meow, 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 meow.
Unlike some of the people in past entries where it's very questionable. Like that guy in the first one that gets his belly cut open. What did he do? What's his game? I've wondered that for years.
And what about Joyce from Saw 7? Bobby Dakin's wife? She was completely innocent. She didn't deserve that.
So, let's get to the people in the traps, shall we? These people include Sunov Makati Lund, sorry if I butchered that, as Celia Peterson. She's the daughter of the doctor that's performing this super experimental medical treatment that Jigsaw's after. She is outstanding as the first worthy adversary for Jigsaw being put into one of his games. It's funny to see someone actually match wits with him, trying to outsmart him and play this cat and mouse game with him that hasn't been seen in Saw films before. And that's another thing. This film does a lot of things that haven't been seen in Saw films before. And I won't get into too much details to ruin it for anybody because this just came out. And I really want people to go out and see this. I'm so excited for this movie. But anyways, the others include Stephen Brand as Peter Sears, Renata Vaca as Gabriella, Joshua Okamoto as Diego, Octavio Hinoyasa plays Mateo, and Paulette Hernandez plays Valentina. Their dynamics are really good too because they all act each other well as their true colors become more and more apparent as the games go on. And oh, do the games go on in this. Without saying too much or going into too much detail, and I won't talk about the outcome either, but I just want to talk about a few of these traps real quick. Because, wow! I could not believe some of these things that I saw. Pun totally intended. That's one thing about this movie. It is not afraid to go there. It's not afraid to be a Saw film, if that makes sense.
All you have to do is click the dial across the 5 positions, and you will live to see another day.
First up is the first trap, the one on the poster. The vacuum eye trap. There's 2 tubes connected to this guy's eyes. He's wearing a mask that snugly fits around his face. To stop the machine, the subject has to turn a dial with one hand 5 different times to break his fingers, or else the vacuum's going to suck his eyes out. 2 things that really get to me in horror movies is eye stuff and finger stuff. Like in Saw 2, the opening trap in that one, oh, it made me cringe. And this one, ooh. Alright, the next one I want to talk about briefly is the Geely saw trap. Somebody has to cut their leg off with a Geely saw and extract some bone marrow, or else this person's head's gonna get cut off. I could not believe the lengths that this trap went to. Oh, jeez. Ooh, that is brutal. Another highlight is when someone is forced to perform brain surgery on themselves, which is sort of reminiscent to Saw 3, just in the previews. So, you know. He's got to remove a portion of gray matter from his brain, a certain amount, in order to make the key available so he can get out.
And ooh, that's a nasty trap. I don't want to say too much. I don't want to ruin it for you. Go see this movie if you want to see how these traps look and how things play out. It's so good. Oh, I love this movie. It's also noteworthy that the Charlie Clouser score has been updated, and it's never sounded better. I love the Saw theme music. When it cues up, and when it comes into play at certain moments, it is fantastic timing for a musical cue. Phenomenal. Chef's kiss. Mwah. I really do miss the time when movies used to have theme music. Nowadays, it's just generic rock or generic hip-hop. So I'm really glad Saw is keeping up the same tradition as like Halloween and Nightmare and Friday and all the good ones. Even It, Pennywise, and The Exorcist have theme music. And don't forget Beetlejuice. He's got iconic theme music, just like the Gremlins do. Oh, gotcha. You didn't notice they were there, did ya? Overall, I'm not gonna lie, the last 3 installments were pretty disappointing. I did like Spiral, but the first time I saw it, I was disappointed because I didn't like how it ended, and what was with the voice for the pig puppet? So those movies just left a bad taste in my mouth. But eventually, I'll have reviews for all the Saw films. I'm working on some other stuff right now, like there's one more Scream movie to do, then I gotta do the Child's Play series. But back to what I was saying. Overall, this film completely dismembered all my expectations by getting back to its roots.
We really tried to pay them back for the loyalty and the fans that have been there since Saw 1.
I usually don't like horror prequels because they're frustrating to no mother-loving end. Because they always answer questions that nobody really asked. This film doesn't do that. It fits so well into the timeline because it adds context to things that happen in other films. I love attention to detail when it comes to continuity. I can't say it enough. On the contrary, it's watchable if you haven't seen the other 9 Saw films because it doesn't get overwhelmingly convoluted or tamper with what's already been established. Sure, it's got some plot holes. I've already mentioned a few of them, but I can't really get into it without spoilers. So we'll just leave it at that. Basically, where Scream 6 failed, this film excels in all aspects. It adds to the world building and the continuity. It adds dimensions and context to characters that we didn't really understand before. It doesn't hold back on the gore either. It's got more of what we love. And, most importantly, Jigsaw. It's all about Jigsaw. Finally, the Saw movie that's just about John Kramer. Sure, Amanda's in it, but it's not really about her. This isn't her game like Part 3 or in Part 2. These are Jigsaw's games. And oh yes, there will be blood.
I still have a lot of work that needs to be done.
It's got a very satisfying conclusion too, but I don't want to say too much. Go see Saw 10. Be sure you stick around for the mid-credit scene too. So, my official grade for Saw 10 is an extra large popcorn. Wait a minute. Is this my favorite horror movie this year? I have to think about that. Go see it. Do you like my cross-stitch? Cross-stitching was my late husband's favorite pastime, and he made this for me. That makes it truly one of a kind.
This film makes me want to scream, right? Meow. Anyways, thank you for liking and subscribing. I don't know about you, but I need a bath after that one. How on earth am I gonna unsee what I saw? Meow, 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 meow.
And remember, If you can't cut it, then it's game over. Did you know that I'm a film critic for HorrorBuzz.com? You can read my reviews on their website, and I make frequent appearances on their YouTube channel, HorrorBuzz Live, so I'll leave links below for that too. You should check it out when you get a chance.